I trust you're having a great morning this Monday. Welcome to the show. My name is Trix Ingado.
Welcome once again. My name is Jesse Rogers. You're watching Morning Express on this 25th day of January. Who thought we'd ever see the last month of January, Trix?
Yeah, it has come to pass, and yay, I'm celebrating it. But as we celebrate that, we're going to bring you a great show to make sure you start off your week informed. Take a look at the papers and see what's making headlines. We'll start off internationally and see what's making headlines across board, what you need to know that is happening across borders. And far from that, we take a look at the local ones and find out what you need to know, and also do a fact check on the fact checkers. Are they doing their job right when it comes to fake news? We shall be having that discussion later on and see if the media has been working right in terms of giving us the right information and capturing the wrong information. Jesse, what do you have in store for us?
Well, even as we take a look at the fact checker, we will take a look at the state of devolution in the country, the journey that has been ever since the inception of the 2010 Constitution. How far have we come? What gains have we made? The challenges, the hits and the misses. All this bearing in mind that some of the devolved functions are coming under threat, bearing in mind the health crisis in the country. This and much more coming your way only here on Morning Express.
Indeed. And let's start off with those international dailies or rather agencies and see what they're prioritizing on this Monday morning. And we start off with the Daily Monitor. This is based in Uganda. We are told who founded Project Museveni launched during campaigns. Of course, this is just coming hot on the heels of that election that was hotly contested. They're also giving us a lineup, or rather an outline of the numbers as far as COVID-19 is concerned. Kenya is toying with a 100,000 number. Tanzania is still at 509, while Uganda is well over 30,000. Take a look at that and find out what you need to know that is happening in Uganda. Let's move on to the next paper and see what is making headlines. We have there the Citizen. This one is based in Tanzania. Zanzibar ranked fourth. Zanzibar rather now ranked fourth largest airport in East Africa with 7 new airlines. That's good news, I do believe, for East Africa and that a part of the region as well. So take a look at that and see the latest. They also have their own tally of COVID-19 positive infections. Let's shift gears to the next paper, Rwanda Today, right there giving us the very latest political news in that country as well as internationally. Take a look and find out what the latest is in one of East Africa's smallest country. Let's shift gears and see what's making headlines. What do we have next? We have the East African telling us Africa hopeful of early gains from Biden's first day in the Oval Office. Well, traditionally we are told that Republicans are more friendlier to Africa, but of course the past regime didn't have very good things, or rather packages for Africa. So Africa is indeed hopeful for that, and let's see what they have what their plans are as far as international relations are concerned. And then let's take a look at the CNN website and see what's making headlines. They're cutting across board, giving us news from the Middle East, Africa, and of course Europe. So take a look at that, find out what's new on that front. They're giving us a world view, or rather that's the world section of the paper. Is that the last paper, or do we have one more? That is the last paper. We shall be taking, of course, if you want to know what's happening around the world, take a look at those. But then let's sample some of the news stories that are making headlines across the country. And the biggest this morning is one to do with the Deputy President. Now, Deputy President William Ruto has lashed out at ODM party leader Raila Odinga for publicly blasting President Uhuru Kenyatta's administration instead of engaging him directly. Ruto says it is wrong for Odinga to criticize the head of state through roadside political gatherings. Elsewhere in Nandi County, a section of lawmakers asked institutions charged with investigations not to be used to settle political scores. Our senior reporter Patrick Amimo has more.
After attending a church service at Consolata Shrine Westlands, Deputy President William Ruto and a team of politicians allied to him headed to Dagoretti South constituency, where they addressed rallies. Ruto asked ODM leader Raila Odinga to stop criticizing President Uhuru Kenyatta through roadside political gatherings.
Huyu William Ruto ni makaka kwa gari. Kama gari unaona imeingia kwa mtaro, unauliza yeye nini? Si driver yako? Wewe face here head on. Hapana ogopa. Wewe unataka kupiga Uhuru, unajificha, unajipiga kwa Ruto. Face Uhuru Kenyatta head on and accuse him of failure. And then mtaona vile mtaambiana na yeye.
Wewe unasema Uhuru Kenyatta ni ndugu yako. Mbona unakuja kumuanika barabarani? Eti serikali ya Jubilee haijafanya hii, serikali ya Jubilee haijafanya ile. Si wewe utafute rais ofisini uende umwambie hiyo.
Ruto defended Jubilee government development record against ODM's onslaught.
Performance ya serikali ya Uhuru na Ruto haiwezi kulinganishwa na ile miaka yote wewe umekuwa serikalini. It cannot match. You have nothing to show except ile mambo tu ya kupiganisha watu na kusunguka na fitina na mambo ambayo ni ya bure.
Vijana na mahasula milioni 42 watamkumbuka Raila Odinga kama mtu ambaye alisambaratisha mipango ya serikali ya Jubilee ya kuimplement Big Four ambaye ingeleta ukombozi wa kiuchumi katika taifa letu la Kenya.
They defended the so-called hustler and wheelbarrownomics.
Na vijana kwa jumla katika hili taifa hawataki kupewa tax breaks. Wanataka wapewe haso yao.
Iko mabazua udu ambao wamezoea kupanga watu, wanasema kabla hii ka hapa, kabla ile ka hapa. Tunataka kuwatangazia kwamba hiyo biashara ya siasa ya ukabila lazima watafunga.
And speaking in Nandi County, a section of lawmakers asked investigating agencies not to be used politically. This follows reports that the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has launched investigations into multi-million shillings dealings of 25 law firms with the Nairobi City County, including one associated with Senate Majority Whip Irungu Kangata and another owned by Makueni MP Dan Maanzo. Kangata reads mischief in the new probe, coming after his controversial letter to the president on the BBI process.
Ways of intimidating opinions that are genuine within ourselves, and we claim as a country to have democracy, is indeed absurdity.
And in Eldoret Town, Elgeyo Marakwet Governor Alex Tolgos held a meeting with leaders supporting the BBI. They asked Rift Valley residents to back the push for reforms.
BBI ikikuja, tutapata nafasi ya wamama ya kuweza kupata viti 2 ya Senate katika kila county.
We were told that BBI was about stopping other leaders from getting positions in 2022. But it is now clear, it is even coming out more openly to our people that BBI and 2022 are totally different.
Patrick Amimo, KTN News.
And still on politics, and ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi now says he will not support Raila Odinga in the 2022 general election, saying he will go straight for the country's top job. This comes as the ANC party launched the campaigns in Matungu, marshalling support for its candidate Peter Nabulindo. George Maringa has more on Matungu politics.
The race for the Matungu by-election continues to gain momentum. This time, the political drumbeats sounding at Muhwea and Mirere villages. Here, the leaders drummed up support for ANC's candidate Peter Oscar Nabulindo.
Ni mtu wa hekima, ni mtu hajali nani mkubwa nani mdogo, akikuangalia anakuangalia kama wewe ni mtu wa Matungu na anakusaidia vile unataka. Si namna hivyo?
Mimi nataka hiyo kura ya Nabulindo ifikishe 108 MPs ili tumalize hii kazi vizuri. Mwana wa ana aingie tu State House pole pole tukiimba Mudavadi kobra.
Matungu inahitaji fresh blood. Inahitaji mtu ambaye anajua nini inaendelea kule bunge. Na mimi ninajua nini inaendelea bunge kwa sababu nilifanya kazi bunge kwa miaka 17.
Here, ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi will reveal that he has had enough of backing Raila Odinga and will this time go straight for the top seat.
Wakati umewadia. Nimesaidia Raila ya kutosha. Sasa ni kulenga paka mwisho. Na kifunguo ya kupata urais katika Kenya, huo ufunguo uko hapa Matungu.
The Western leaders also calling for unity in the region as they seek to clinch the Matungu seat.
2017 wakati kura iliisha na akaanguka kura, huyu Peter Oscar alibaki hapa kwake na akakaa na nyinyi na mkakula ile kidogo ambaye alikuwa nayo, hakuwakimbia, si ndio?
Mimi nimekuja hapa kuona kwamba safari ambayo tulikuwa tumeanza tuikamilishe tarehe 4 mwezi wa 3, ama sio?
Ushindi wa Peter Oscar ni ushindi wa watu wa Matungu. Ushindi wa watu wa Matungu ni ushindi wa Waluya.
The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission IEBC has cleared 15 candidates to vie in the March 4th by-election. George Maringa, KTN News.
And Baringo Senator Gideon Moi has announced a major road makeover in the county. Speaking in Mugurin Mogotio sub-county, Moi said a budget for the construction of the Kamukunji to Lake Bogoria road had already been approved. He said the contractor will soon be on site. He was speaking after attending a church service in Mugurin AIC Church in the company of local leaders.
Muliona mheshimiwa wetu alifalishwa juzi crown. Muliona kama wazee wamekubali, sisi nani tutapinga? Tuko nyuma yake.
Hiyo kiti ambaye anaelekea huko mbele ni kiti ambaye imebarikiwa na ni kiti ambaye inafaa kila mtu. Sasa sisi kama wakaaji wa Baringo tumeona ya kwamba hata yetu tunainua juu. Kama Nandi wanainua yao, kama Mount Kenya wanainua yao, kila mahali wanainua yao, hata sisi tuinue juu. Ndio hata sisi tujulikane kama wakaaji wa Baringo kuwa tuko na kiongozi wetu. Na tunasema kwamba nyumbani iko sawa sawa. Hatupaduki nyuma, tumeamua kuwa tunashikilia mtu wetu.
Tumeweka nini, iko budget, tenda imepeanwa, contractor taanza kazi, in 6 months the road will be complete. Sasa na watu wa jirani yako bado wanalia maji. Wewe ni waziri ya wapi?
All right, so those are the biggest stories this morning, and when you take a look at some of the papers, you'll see that they reflect that actually. And joining me to discuss some of these and more stories are Honorable Arthur Odera, former Member of Parliament for Teso North, as well as John Mwaniki, who's the Deputy Governor for Laikipia. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
All right, now let's start off, well, with the first story that we had there. It's being reflected on the front page of the Daily Nation. It says, Ruto defends Uhuru over Raila attacks. In a fresh twist, the DP, who has lately been attacking President Kenyatta, aggressively defended the head of state, outlining the Jubilee administration's achievements since taking power in 2013. The estranged deputy, who has become an outsider in his own government, thanks to the March 2018 camaraderie between the president and Mr. Odinga, popularly known as the handshake, praised their performance prior to the rapprochement with the opposition leader. More details are on page 4 of the Daily Nation. I'll start with you, Honorable Odera. What do you make of this? Because even before, similar sentiments have been directed at the Deputy President, where he has been told if he is within government, he should not be criticizing government or the leadership. And now it seems like the tables have turned and he's the one making those comments.
Remember, Trix, we talked about this last week, and yes. I told you that Raila Odinga is torn between being a machine gun wielder and a sniper. Mm-hmm. He was trying to be a sniper, trying to hit at DP, Ruto, without hitting at the president. Little does he realize that these two are joined at the hips. Mm-hmm. If you're going to criticize the development record of either of them, inevitably the other one will be roped in. And now...
And I'm sorry to interrupt you, but what kind of campaign would he, have? Would it even be possible for him to campaign and put himself forth as a worthy leader without criticizing a previous regime?
Well, I think politics is like that, because politics is necessarily, because it's a winner takes all game, yeah. Typically, and it's a win-lose game. Somebody will take the seat and somebody else will miss it, or other people will miss it. So it is necessarily comparative, because he wants to say they were supposed to do this, they promised to do this, they did not, And quite often, even the bit about I will do it and this is how I'll do it misses out. But sometimes because of the political environment we are in and because the voters are who they are, people get excited about the fact that they did not do this. You create a grievance environment against the existing regime, and in the process, almost by default, you are offering yourself as a better alternative to what exists now. But then, DP Ruto is a very agile political animal. He is very agile. He will seize on every opportunity. He knows how to spin. Somebody says something, he will take it, and he will passionately talk about something that somebody else said to his advantage. Now, you see, Raila has not actually criticized Uhuru, as a matter of fact.
Right.
He has criticized him, wanting to tie him for failure to support Uhuru and such other narratives, trying to hit at DP.
Yes.
And it's going to be a very, very difficult task to extricate DP from Uhuru in terms of the development agenda and what development achievements they've made over the Jubilee reign.
Indeed. Honorable Mwaniki, what do you make of this?
Well, I think the first thing I want to say is that, excuse me, if you look at DP, what DP has done is he has seen Raila from a very far yard, trying to paint him as the failure in government. And what Ruto has done is to quickly bring in the president in the mix and says, you can't be a friend to Uhuru, and then on the other side, you're actually criticizing his failures of his government.
Yeah.
And remember, Ruto is a candidate for presidential election next year. So he has to be very smart and ensure that he cannot go down on the mistakes of Jubilee. And if you look at the papers, he's very clearly saying, we were doing very well until you came on board and scattered all the plans. In fact, he's pushing back the blame on the Jubilee failure to Raila. And unfortunately, if Raila is not careful, he's going to be the one who is going to carry the bad news of the reasons why Jubilee didn't deliver was because of Raila. And I think Ruto is succeeding in actually doing so, in painting that why not for Raila would be very far.
Yeah.
And that's going to be spin like what Olengo is saying, to ensure that at the end of the day, Ruto and his supporters are able to confirm that Raila is actually the enemy that we need to beat.
Yeah.
So it's going to become very interesting. It's just 25 days into the year. We have a long way to go. It can only get hotter.
Okay. Now, there's some moves that he is making on the ground, particularly in Central. We're told here on page 2 of the Standard that this morning Raila is expected on Kameme FM to sell his unity deal with Uhuru and the proposed constitutional changes. He's also, a fortnight ago, he held a meeting with Githurai traders and Kikuyu Council of Elders. The former premier plans to visit a populous Githurai, which he has described as a gateway to the Kikuyu nation. Honorable Odera, is this key in him winning over and not alienating, as opposed to alienating the central, bloc through some of the utterances when it comes to development?
I think Raila is trying to use what you would call tested methods of political mobilization, using ethnic communities and trying to appeal to Council of Elders and generally people who have traditionally been seen as opinion leaders. However, that will compete furiously with the narrative that the Deputy President is creating. The Deputy President is essentially, he wants to change the basis for mobilization from traditional ethnic-based mobilization methods to methods that are based on what you need in your life. Methods that are based on economic factors, methods that are based on things that matter to people's lives on a daily basis. And that is the competition that Raila is facing. I think the sooner he realizes that he is up against a new paradigm which he needs to sort of acquaint himself with. Because if DP succeeds in getting people to think economy rather than tribe, and find new methods of association, new methods of mobilization, and new methods of finding a network that works for the different individuals economically, especially the youth, he will struggle. He will be chasing DP's momentum for a long time to come. And Central Kenya, of course, is a key voting bloc in Kenya, and I think Raila has realized that DP has gone ahead of him. Remember that when Raila endorsed Kibaki, I followed the politics of that time. After Kibaki was elected president, the reception Raila used to receive in central Kenya was ecstatic.
Yeah.
Central Kenya thought that, next we're going to have this guy. He's okay. He supported our guy. Kibaki was a great president, if you ask me. And it resonated very well. Then the conflict started in the government. Later, of course, the coalition government came, and the relationship went very sour. So that by the time the 2013 election came, the momentum, the goodwill that had been generated had all been lost. And therefore, Raila is probably because of his age, he's been in politics for a long time. And you see, there is this thing of a method that has always worked. They said when it's not broke, you don't fix it.
Yeah.
But this is broke, actually. This is a mobilization method that is being challenged, and we are seeing evidence now in what's happening in Kenya today that that method is essentially being overturned.
Yeah. Okay. Honorable Mwaniki, do you agree?
Well, I actually do agree that currently the methods that, you see, if you go back to 2002, during the NAC regime, the same sort of political leaders or kingpins from the ethnics that are allowed are the same guys still in the scene. And they don't have anything new to offer. So that's why you find that if you look at the DP's team has pretty new faces in the game. And when you go back to particularly the central Kenya, you'll find that people have become very enlightened. An average person who now is an active voter in the age of between 18 and 35 does not have the hangover of the yesteryears in terms of how politics was being driven. So they are now more liberal, they are more now focused, they are now able to realize that first and foremost, the economy is suffering. Now, DP has noticed and seized that opportunity to say this is the reason why the economy is not performing, because of Raila politics. Now, being able for Raila to penetrate Central is going to be very, very difficult.
Yes.
As it stands now, DP has sort of like 90% of Central, people, resonating with his politics. Whether they'll translate to votes or not, time will tell. But the point is, Raila is actually, I would say, he's like 100 meters or yards away from being even near to be as par with Ruto, because he's again making a mistake using the same old faces. They will not deliver much. He needs to reinvent himself. But I also think that, I don't know why my instinct tells me you might have another Kibaki moment that Raila may not actually be a candidate. But I'm just speculating, because by look of things, that's the only best way to do so. But at the moment, Ruto is right. I think one leg is already in the State House.
Yeah, he has not declared his interest in running again, but that he's clearly the favorite when it comes to ODM, and that is reflected on the front page of the Standard. The headline this morning is Raila's chances at the presidency. Now, we do know that Wycliffe Oparanya, governor for Kakamega County, has also declared interest. Mombasa Governor Hassan Joho has also said he would be interested in that, and a different angle has been taken by the Daily Nation, where they're telling us that to get that candidacy you would need 1 million shillings to express that you're serious and officially be one of the people trying to get to be a candidate for ODM. Honorable Odera, what do you make of his chances? Honorable Mwaniki has touched on that a bit. What do you make of his actual chances at getting into State House?
It's early days, Trix, to be honest. It's early days.
This is a candidate who's been running. I'm sure you could do a prediction.
And you see, that's what we are saying.
Yeah.
That if he senses at this point in time that he needs to change his methods and needs to adopt a better style of working, a style that resonates more with the bulge, the population bulge, which is made up of the youth that we have now, they relate to different things. They relate to different people. They are looking at different ways of decision making. Different things influence their minds. And you also have to contextualize the arguments that are going on on the economy. Where are we now in terms of the economy? You see, when the economy is thriving, people take a lot of things for granted. People are not angry. the voting will be done on more on considerations of what do we need to happen in future, rather than I don't like this guy because he has done this wrong. As it is now, in my estimation, some of the support the Deputy President will enjoy, especially in Mount Kenya, because it's made up of a lot of business people, will be because of the economy rather than anything else. That's my estimation.
Okay.
And,
Go ahead.
And therefore, if the arguments that Raila presents to the people, and you remember Raila's politics has a lot been grievance politics. I mean, 80% of his speeches in the past when he was Raila, the Raila who moved masses, were about grievances. They didn't do this to us. They failed us on this lot. It is about this. And put that in the context of the history of endorsements for president in Kenya, where Jaramogi endorsed Jomo Kenyatta, Raila endorsed Kibaki, and Kibaki got into power. So there is a grievance, a big grievance factor to those politics. However, as it is now, we have a generation of voters that do not remember, were not there, have not delved into history, and do not care about those histories of grievances, of promises, of endorsements, and so on. And therefore, he needs to adopt modern mobilization methods. He needs to bring the economic arguments to the fore of what he says. And that's why you find right now, when you listen to the anecdotes, people are looking at Musalia Mudavadi and saying, hey, this guy, he talks about the economy. Maybe this is the guy we need now. He keeps talking about the economy. And that's why the hustler narrative is such a hit. Because the hustler narrative is saying, you know what, you can rise from nothing and reach wherever you dream to be.
Like I did.
And who does not love that kind of story? Who does not have aspirations? Especially the youth, they have aspirations. They are hungry for success. And the DP is saying to them, even without the substance of that argument, it's just saying, you know what, you can. And there's a resonation. Look at Obama. Obama of 2006 in the Democratic Convention.
This is true.
I mean, it's huge.
And everybody loves the story of the underdog. Honorable Mwaniki, the DP is going out to the people and say, look, I started as a chicken farmer and I rose and became this and that, and now I'm the deputy president, so can you. Do you think this is the right message? And when you look at him, then these other candidates, on the off chance that they make it as the candidates for ODM, Wycliffe Oparanya and Hassan Joho, do you think they stand a chance? Let's say Raila does not express interest eventually. Do you think these other candidates would be the ideal for ODM and take it to the helm?
First of all, I think we must congratulate ODM for setting the pace. I think for the first time we are seeing a political party advertising for a presidential candidate in the open media and saying this is the process, these are the requirements, please do apply. I think that's a welcome move. It shows that our democracy is still maturing. But as to whether the Oparanyas and the Johos will be able to clinch the ticket, I mean, that's for the ODM members to decide. But we welcome any of them because I believe they are tested and been there. They've been second-term governors, running very strong counties. So we wish them well. In any case, the more competitors we have, the better for the voter, so that you're able to arrive at a good candidate. But I want to touch on the issue of the way the DP has been able to understand that the hustlers are actually the moving the nation now. You see, we have a huge population of people who are not employed, many of them. And if you look at that bracket, like I said, of 18 to 35 years, these are guys that were born when there was Raila was, leading the champion in struggle in opposition. They didn't realize, they didn't get to feel that. So they have come and found a country where the economy is not performing very well, people can't get jobs, and then there comes a narrative here that says we are the people who are suffering most, and therefore if we join hands together, we can create a movement that then can be able to liberate ourselves. Remember, in politics, how you garner for votes, the end justifies the means. So I wouldn't fault DP. I think he's doing the right thing. Even if I was in his shoe, I would also do the same thing because I need votes. And if by moving this hustler narrative is what is going to take him to State House, I mean, that's what he's going to do. The question is, once he is in State House, then he has to come up with sound policies to ensure that the economy rebounds. And I think that's why Odera is trying to bring in the Musalia factor, saying that he's consistent on how to fix the economy. But I tell you, when you're out there looking for votes, you promise a lot. When you get to doing things, that is when now issues start becoming now hard to implement. But as a country, we definitely need to take a stop, recalibrate ourselves, because our economy is not doing very well because of COVID, of course, and we must look at what interventions can government do even now. It doesn't have to wait until after 2022. In any case, where will be the voters?
Well, then one would hope that the Deputy President would be championing that and sort of demonstrating the change that he can bring once he's president, because like it or not, he is in government, isn't he?
Yes, he's in government, and I think the government is still doing, I would say, for example, the reforms in the tea sector that Waziri Munya has been championing.
Yes.
If you look at now the way that tea sector has been reorganized, definitely it creates a hope for the farmer. It gives farming, tea farming now has reason and importance. And I hope that even in the coffee sector that is actually undergoing now on the public participation, he'll be able to succeed. And I think those are the interventions that we are looking at. How else do we fix this taxation? Because if you look at now, digital taxation has come in, it's 1.5 billion this January. Anything that you buy online, you're paying for it. Look at the entertainment sector. It has been worst hit by COVID.
Right.
The people have retreated, have gone back home, they have lost hope. I think there are small things that the government can do right now and be able to do so. One other thing that, of course, is a major concern is the public debt, because we borrowed money. We were supposed to invest in infrastructure that will be able to span economic growth. It didn't happen. We have debts now to service, and you see the stalemate that we have had in the counties lacking money was because of we have to pay China. It's a due debt, and until China said that we are giving you 6 months break, that's when we were able to release money to the counties. So there's a need for us to understand that the COVID tax reliefs that were given cost the government a lot of money, about 65 billion or so. And therefore, if we do not, all of us come together on the table and we listen, and unfortunately, we're in a political pre-election year, and we have to balance the two because we are Kenyans and Kenyan is our business.
Yeah. Now, I'd like to close off with a quote here. I'd like to read. It's on the front page of the Daily Nation. This is a Raila Odinga tweet. He said, "Mr. 6 months, the youngsters you promised laptops 8 years ago are now old enough to see through your lies. The youth you promised 8 million jobs in 8 years can see through the wheelbarrow lie you are now peddling. It has been 8 years, Mr. 6 months, and not 3 years. No, Mr. 6 months." Make of that what you may. But then I'd like to shift gears also and bring in, because you brought on the issue of Honorable Musalia Mudavadi. Honorable Odera, because he is an economist, he has been the one politician that's talking about the debt and how he would actually handle it. Do you think he stands a chance? And would that resonate with the people?
I think he makes a lot of sense. But it depends on what he does between now and then. Some people are speculating that Musalia Mudavadi is the hidden candidate between Raila and Uhuru. Some people are speculating that there are people in powerful positions who want Musalia Mudavadi to be the candidate. I think Musalia Mudavadi makes a lot of sense as a candidate for president. He is a sober man. He has a track record of having turned around the economy when he was Minister for Finance in Arap Moi's time. He has remained steadfast. In fact, when the deputy governor talked about public debt, he is the one guy that has been singing about the danger of borrowing the way we have borrowed this country. A lot of Kenyans did not know anything about public debt. He brought it to the fore. He has had argument, and he has been fairly uncharacteristically of what we know about him before, he has been bold about criticizing government. He doesn't look unfriendly to the president, yet he is able to criticize him. And I think, I admire that. You're able to tell even your friend the truth of things going wrong without looking like you're being hostile. And I admire that bit about him. Now, let's look at the bolts and nuts now. If you follow the traditional method, and you know Western Province, what traditionally was Western Province, and if you take the Luhya vote, for example, it's a huge voting bloc. It's a huge voting bloc. And I see nothing wrong with mobilizing votes based on ethnicity. Reason being that economies tend to be affected geographically in a lot of ways. For example, the sugar industry. I mean, if you mourn the sugar industry, you're mourning Western, you're mourning Luyaland, you're mourning the economy of that area. So if you're mobilizing politically and mobilizing on the basis of ethnicity, there is an economic element to it. And remember that since independence, the big players in the political arena have benefited their geographical areas, which also end up to be inhabited by their ethnic groups. So again, if we are to extricate ourselves from that, it will take decades. It will take a lot of years, and it will take very strong leadership to move away from that into something else, which probably the hustler narrative is suggesting, but it has not been proven. And we hope that over time, the traditional narratives, the traditional methods of mobilization will be challenged sufficiently for us to be able to look at them and compare and then pick the best method that we think will help this country to unite and to remain united. Therefore, Musalia Mudavadi should unite Western Kenya around economy. The economy of sugar alone is strong enough because it cuts across Western province. It cuts across Western Kenya. Unite them around that. Come to the negotiating table and tell guys, you know what, you want to be president? What do you bring to the table? If BBI passes, can we share? Can we share leadership in this country? And even if there was no BBI, you still have the seat of a deputy president. You still have the seat of Speaker of National Assembly, who is essentially third in the pecking order. You still have a lot of positions in this country where people, leaders who have the capability to lead and make a difference, can still play their role in those respective positions.
Yeah, and effect change.
And I think that if he manages to unite Western Kenya and to build an alliance of leaders from many different places, he is a guy who many people will take seriously.
Honorable Mwaniki, what do you say about this one? He actually also, to rope another fact in, he has said that he has had enough of supporting Raila Odinga. That's the latest from Musalia.
Yeah, I hear Musalia, but let me tell you, elections are shy of 16 months away.
Yes.
If you ask me, Musalia has not even begun campaigning to be a president in this country. I think he's still trying to decide in his mind whether he's going to be a candidate or not. And I say this because of his actions. Look at DP. Even forget about the previous 2 years, how he has been hitting the ground. Look at just these 3 weeks. Musalia is still deciding in his mind whether he's going to be a handshake candidate. And let me tell you, the Kenyan history has shown that there is no way you'll be anointed as a heir to the presidential seat and then you get it. So Musalia has to sweat it out. He has to put his team in order if he's a serious candidate for the presidential elections. As it matters stand now, yes, he has good ideas in how to fix our economy, which is a very welcome thing. But if he's not careful, he's going to work for DP as a minister of his finance. Because really, you can, well, I hear what Dara is saying about Western Kenya, bloc coming together. Well, that should have happened yesterday. This is the time to hit the ground in northeastern, in central, in coast, not being tied around there at your home area. You're still trying to negotiate with Weta and trying to negotiate with Eugene and the rest, and Oparanya to back you up. So I think he has a lot to do. He needs to burn the midnight oil. And I would really wish that we have a Ruto versus Mudavadi campaign. It would be a very nice one because then we will not be suffering from trying to look at it's Laila who is in the front line. But let's wait and see.
Okay, and to the viewers, remember to be a part of the conversation. It's not complete without you chiming in. The hashtag is KTN Morning Express on all our social media platforms. Tell us what you think. We're taking a short break. When we come back, we'll have more for you here on Morning Express.